welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
I'm Tara.
Kaila.
And I'm Josh. And there are two significant things about this discussion today. Number one, this is Kayla's first discussion of Season 18. So it's always
Welcome back, Kaila.
great to have you back.
Gang. Thanks.
How's everybody doing?
They're all good. They're all just living their lives, getting along.
You're doing well?
Yeah, everything's
Excellent.
good.
Already. And the second significant thing is that this is the first discussion of 2026.
Oh, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, gang.
Happy New Year. First 2026 discussion here on Literary Gladiators. And today we are going to be going over something that is just as wild as a brand new year. And that is Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon by David McGowan. And it is quite an enlightening work if you want to know some concrete answers about what happens behind the scenes in the entertainment industry, particularly the music scene. You have a discussion starter, Larry?
Yes, I do. Dave McGowan, early on in the book, presents his thesis, which is that the music scene of the mid-60s through the mid-70s, taking place in Laurel Canyon in California, was basically an intelligence operation that was designed to hijack the budding anti-war movement. Do you feel that Dave made his case?
Yes, and I think that this is only one of many examples. This just happens to be the one that we have more information about now. Because I think that there was speculation that things like this were going on, but I think that I've come to the conclusion that the entertainment industry in general, you either are someone who's screwed up or becomes screwed up once you get into the entertainment industry, and it has to do with having the connections to get in, or if you think you're going to get in when you're clean, or if you think you're going to get in just by having a dream, you're going to realize otherwise that it's not what you thought it was.
I mean, I think that continues well into today. Let's look at all of the last couple of years, everything going on with Diddy, right? Even that you have to pay a fee to get into the business, right? And I think that this is a different side of that fee, but no less dark and gritty of the entertainment industry, you know?
Mm-hmm. Or they're having with the Nickelodeon kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a fee to be famous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily measured by money. It's measured by morals and just sexual favors.
Yeah.
And
Corruptness.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that one of the major things that stuck out was not just the fact that a lot of them were there are a lot of coincidences, and one of the big mirrorings is I was thinking, because you wonder how hard it would be to get on a game show. It's probably you put in, you hope that you get the call back. The chances are very slim. I'm an enthusiast for classic game or for game shows in general, or was. I haven't watched as many as of late, but I would say that if I have the opportunity, I'll sometimes be caught in a binge-watching match game. But Kirstie Alley from Cheers.
Yes.
It's Jenny Craig, or Jenny Craig.
Jenny Craig.
She was on two game shows. She was on Match Game and Password Plus back in the early 80s. And between, you or I, it would take a lot to get onto that show. And to make it onto two shows, when our chances are slim, I think it goes to show you that you do have to have the connections in order to get in. And what kind of connections, it might just be knowing somebody, but the in this case, the fact that a lot of them knew one another, kind of like you see on, I mean, in a cartoon or on Muppet Babies, it's out of sheer entertainment. You really would have to do the math to, like, I think the Muppet Show structure where they got together because of the show rather than them growing up with one another. The fact that they're growing up with one another, there has to be something that's going on behind the scenes in order for it to work. But I also, what really struck me was the fact that these people are already doing a service like one would for the military. Because a lot of them were, they got exemption from the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could make up a pretty paper-thin excuse that it would take a lot for a common person to be able to get away with. They would just have to do something light and.
Oh, I have an old injury.
Yeah, a football injury.
Yeah.
And yet they could still play football.
Mm-hmm.
But they were already doing, and just being in a band or performing made them exempt because they were doing a favor for the establishment that was looking to create a message and manipulate the way people thought.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially with the whole like free acid and all that kind of stuff, and making the acid and testing on people.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was even mentioned a couple of times in the book, but it's very reminiscent of like the whole Agent Orange and what's the similar MGK, Project MGK, something like that, where like the government is meddling in the medications and stuff that people get to like experiment on them, basically. And I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, like Gulf War syndrome and that.
Yeah.
That whole deal, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, war in Vietnam. I think it started on a really good note where the Tonkin Gulf incident, where they set something up that never even happened, said that that the Vietnamese did it just so that they could create a reason to go to war.
Yeah.
And this was, and this is the whole, because this was during the Johnson administration, and Johnson was the quintessential establishment guy. Before him, it was Kennedy, and Kennedy didn't want to be bothered with Vietnam. Look what happened to him.
Right.
He got assassinated because they wanted to go to war.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons.
I'm just saying, this whole book gave me like conspiracy this, conspiracy that, and I have a theory about the canyon. Like, you know how like the CIA was a whole part of that too? I think it was part of that, but also something dark and evil was there.
Yeah.
And it controlled whatever happened, especially with the death of the babies and the suicides and the murders. Like something evil was there, and then the CIA thing didn't help.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the CIA part was they were like, I don't know, maybe part of evil went on to them too. And yeah.
It
That's my
kind of
theory.
reminds me of Stranger Things. Did anybody watch Stranger Things?
I know about Stranger Things.
So, Stranger Things, basically the premise is like the government is experimenting on these children. It's very like Agent Orange, where they're trying to like experiment on these kids to essentially give them like superpowers, but it's all in relation to this like other universe called the Upside Down. But it kind of has the same feel where like everything is rigged and everything is meant to like deceive the people into acting a certain way or like hide the things that they've done or whatever. It reminds me of what you were just saying about like this like evil entity kind of being there.
But the thing is, like, when I kept reading, I'm like, something else is going on in that canyon that is supernatural that we can't see, and it's not good. Like, I think there is good, and then there's bad, and the bad was right there. Not everywhere, and like, obviously there was a recording studio, nothing happened there, but like, I think the homes and when people were actually in there.
Yeah.
Especially with the death of that the baby.
Yeah, they go back to that again and again. That little kid who fell through the
Kaila.
window.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
how the parents really didn't.
Like they had like no reaction.
They really didn't, and they went to a Christmas party the next
Yeah.
day.
I think
Christmas Eve party.
I think they were. I don't know. It was the whole thing was interesting. Like I wasn't there, obviously.
Like, you weren't?
But like I just something is
I
off
don't know if
about
she'd
that.
be here if she was there.
I think that's something's totally off about that. I think I'd probably be old as Jack Nicholson if I was there.
Yeah.
I mean, it also gave me the brain food to think about other things that I speculated as well, as far as I think it's more fascinating when you're hearing about the people that we do know about, or the groups we do know about, even though the people behind the scenes do play a major role, like Beausoleil, the one that he was deemed as Charles Manson's lieutenant,
Yeah.
because he was part of a band. And for the longest time, I thought when they were talking about the Grassroots, I thought they were referring to the one we were familiar with. But it was a different Grassroots that had to change their name because of the other Grassroots had already taken it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the like who's who of this can be really confusing if you're not like really into this genre and
Like-
age of music.
Like Zappa.
Yeah, yeah.
Frank Zappa's a piece of crap, especially after reading this.
I'm just like, he was a cult leader, but in like a different way.
He was
He wasn't
satanic
He
and
wasn't Manson, but like, I think
Hmm.
that was part of the I think that was part of what caused all that.
he was domineering to his band members, and he also manipulated his cult where he wasn't much of a drinker or a drug user, but he encouraged those to drink and do drugs because that's a method of control.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's a pretty common tactic among like cult leaders. Is
Yes.
like they encourage the others to do drugs, but they stay in control of themselves.
And not just that, not just even the corporations do that too.
Yeah.
Even though they might not have the advertising, I mean, now they're not really making the use of cigarettes as cool. But you have, I mean, you would have people. You seem tough. You seem rebellious. You feel like you fit in when you're smoking a cigarette, but the establishment makes billions at least, and I might be short selling it, but they make a whole lot of money through the cigarette industry, and then if you want to go further up, the pharmaceutical and cancer industry, between giving you the medication due to what happens because of the cigarettes and treating you with the chemo and radiation that comes with the what happens when you get lung cancer.
You know, and nowadays marijuana as well is becoming big business because it's becoming legal everywhere. So now the corporations are able to take advantage of that. And before it was made legal, they were trying to come up with pharmaceutical
Medical marijuana.
products. Yeah, well, not just medical marijuana, but like a pill, like Marinol. You ever hear of Marinol? That was it's a pill that contains THC but doesn't get you high, and they were using that, to treat certain things like appetite, for people who have cancer and stuff like that, to give them appetite, things like that. So the corporations are involved, and that reminds me too of another point in this book is that the whole hippie movement is looked at as being very countercultural, but at the same time, the establishment was at the forefront pushing it. Like they're all over television, all over. The record companies have no problem signing up for all of this, and so it's supposed to be countercultural, but at the same time, it's being promoted by Time Magazine, People Magazine, and everybody.
Monterey Pop Festival, the Woodstock. They don't talk about Woodstock as much because this is more about Laurel Canyon.
Yeah,
But they talk about the California area of things, but there are a lot of players that took part in Woodstock that lived in Laurel Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Which performer or band really were you the most, gave you the greatest reaction as far as what you learned about was concerned?
I don't know. Probably Frank Zappa. I would say I didn't know much about him at all, and you know, the Beach Boys. Like I knew about all that because I grew up a huge Beach Boys fan, so I knew that Dennis and Charlie Manson were close there for a while. So that one didn't surprise me as much. I knew that whole story, but yeah, I guess Frank Zappa.
I would say he was the familiar one that would really outrage you the most, or the one that would really, because, I mean, I didn't know as much about him either. I thought that he was just a...
Some guy just did that, so many books a little time. That's his, I think that's it. That's his quote that you see everywhere, like it has to do with books.
What about,
He's the one that coined so many books so many little time or something like that, whatever that phrase is.
So many books, too little time, or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know that quote, but okay.
Who stuck out for you, Tara?
What's that band name? It's my notes.
Which band are we talking?
He talks at length with this group.
The Doors?
It was Doors, but it was
Mamas and the
another
Papas?
one. There was another one.
Birds? Buffalo Springfield?
That one. That
Okay.
one. That one like shocked me a little bit too.
It was interesting because I only knew them for one song, and that's For What It's Worth. But and I mean you practically say they're a one-hit wonder. But you have members that were like Stephen Stills was involved in a lot of projects, as was Neil Young.
Yeah.
And they were viewed as being an authentically talented band. And I think that was one of the things that really stuck out is that I know the Monkees were not necessarily authentic, but a lot of the groups of that time, you had a lot of session and studio performers that would actually play the music
for the
and
albums, right?
Yeah, and the people you saw were not the ones actually performing.
Right, and then you go and see them live, and you'd be like, "Why are they so bad?" That was what the reaction seemed to be from people at the time. So yeah.
For you, Kaila?
I'm not super familiar with this like era of music. It's definitely not like one that I would consider I know anything about prior to reading this book. It kind of is like before my mom was really of an age where she could listen to music, so it wasn't really something that like we listened to when we were kids. But I guess just the stuff about Frank Zappa was like the most surprising. I obviously recognized that name, so like learning more about the background of that was pretty shocking. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think Frank Zappa's were among the most outrageous.
Yeah.
But as far as surprised was concerned, I would say because I would say I'm surprised that the Monkees were dabbled into that, but they were created by a producer who was putting together a show, and I don't think the people that were involved, even though they were maybe hanging out with them, I don't think that they were outrageous people the way that Frank Zappa, Frank Sinatra was involved with the mob. That's an obvious one.
Obviously, he talked like one.
The Captain Beefheart was repulsive. I would say the Mamas and the Papas, though, were probably the most, because I thought that they were much more, probably the most they did was maybe do drugs, but John Phillips was an absolute piece of crap. The way that his daughters grew up to be incredibly deranged, and it was because of the fact that he objectified them growing up.
Yeah.
And just the way that he came from military intelligence background. Cass Elliot was just, she just kept her house open for anybody to go in and do what they wanted. There was the whole thing that she died because she choked on a ham sandwich. They debunked that, and I think the more mainstream term, or the mainstream answer, is that she died from a heart attack as a result of losing so much weight in such little time, that's something that does happen, and because if you lose too much weight too quickly, it does have an impact on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
But the conclusion they came to was that she knew too much about what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And she was at Harry Nilsson's, and Keith Moon was too. But actually, the one that probably outrages me the most is the Rolling Stones, come to think of it, because of what happened when the guy got shot during a concert. He got stabbed during a concert, and they just kept playing on.
Yeah.
Any human being in their right mind would stop and make sure that everything was okay. And that only makes Don McLean's whole section devoted to Mick Jagger and American Pie all the more authentic, that he's practically Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was the member of, it wasn't Keith Richards, it was Brian, it's not Brian Wilson, because Brian Wilson was from the Beach Boys. It was one of the members that was kicked out, and he died shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily because of drugs.
There's so many names in that book.
That's
It's
what I
hard to
mean,
keep
like,
track of
that's what I
everybody.
mean, like,
I found that really.
Like what I mean, they're.
You need like one of them
CIA
FBI
had
style.
Yeah, like
dying-
a cork board.
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
cork board with the pictures and the
Yeah.
strings tying
And it
them
got
all
to
together.
those chapters where it's literally just like the death list, and I find myself going, I literally don't know what's going on right now.
I think that was, the fact that they had it organized at the beginning was pretty, I think that was a good idea to have.
Like I said, like I think also the CIA was involved in all this.
Brian Jones, that's who it was.
Right.
But, yeah, Brian Jones. But it was interesting also to learn about that, like I know a lot more about the Byrds now, and that David Crosby started, and David Crosby was he was a control freak too, and he really didn't have much to offer. And I was surprised, like with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and Young.
That was interesting. That was interesting to get there too.
I thought they had more. I thought each of them had more to contribute, but it turned out Stephen Stills basically did everything.
Yeah, isn't that something?
It is, because I thought, like, I do like Graham Nash. I think he was the one that mainly sang "Teach Your Children Well," which I thought is a very. I mean, to say that a song is insightful is just. I now think that thinking about the song "San Francisco" was the way how hypnotic it is, and if you listen to Scott McKenzie singing it, they're basically manipulating people to run away from home and go to San Francisco and take part in the Summer of Love movement.
And then you got the same thing with the Doors, the end, that whole song, the end about the Doors, you know, the blue bus is calling us and all that, you know, go out west, and I mean, he's just basically saying, good, come out here.
I think it was very fascinating to see how that, because he had said that Jim Morrison I knew was also a poet, and it was amazing that he wrote everything. He wrote their entire backlog. Usually people do it as they go along the way, but he had it all set out in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it turned out that it worked. I mean, he's the first one that they mention as far as him being, his father was military intelligence, and they have a picture of him with his dad.
I only listened to audiobooks. I didn't get to see a picture.
And that didn't come out for years that his parents were even alive.
Yeah, they said that he had like pretended they were dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the fact that none of the Doors were ever in a band previously to the Doors. They were all involved in other artistic endeavors. Right? Like I think two of them were in film school, and then the other two were, they met at like a meditation class or something. I don't know. It's hard to keep everything straight, but
there's so much information all at once.
Yeah.
It's one of those books you gotta like read it first, and then wait for a little bit, and then read it again. Because you'll probably pick up a whole lot more.
Yeah, well, I noticed that. Like I said, I know the Beach Boys very well because I grew up loving the Beach Boys.
Hmm.
And that chapter was very easy for me to understand. But, I think if you really know all these artists, I think that would help.
Yeah.
I knew
I
some
agree.
of them, and I grew up. My parents. I blame my parents for knowing all this music.
It's also easy if you're dipping into it, if you want to learn about somebody or something specific. But with the Beach Boys, they did say that it was easy that they had a theme picked out for them to stand behind.
Yeah.
I know. I learned a bit of a handful of information, but it's not one of the groups that I necessarily know a lot about. But I think that, they had the connections and they were screwed up by the environment. I wouldn't necessarily, aside from the one, I think it was Mike Love.
Yeah,
I think that the Wilson brothers, I don't think were as, I wouldn't consider them evil, except maybe Dennis Wilson, but on the basis that he had bad character.
Yeah, I think he just got involved with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Wilson I felt more bad for because he was basically suffocated for all those years.
Yeah, first by his father and then by that psychiatrist.
So, yeah, bodyguards.
Yeah.
But
handlers, and you see that a lot today in music. Where they all have their handlers.
And there will be something that comes out of this nature about more recent singers in the years to come.
Oh yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
after the whole PPP.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not giving him his name no more.
It's not a bet or P. Diddle.
Britney
Neither
Spears
are great.
comes to mind. Britney Spears,
Oh, yeah,
with her whole
absolutely.
conservatorship and all
I
that.
can kind
Justin Bieber.
I can
Yeah.
I can understand why she shaved her head. I completely get it. Like I get why she did what she did.
Oh yeah.
She had to do what was good for her. Like, yes, granted she was in like the wrong time, but that was probably freeing for her to do that.
I would even say that there might be things that come out about much to your dismay.
Don't you say it. Don't you say it.
Say it.
Say it.
Taylor Swift.
No, she's under Swift.
I don't know. I think she's probably on the good side of the history, though.
Well, I mean,
She's-
time will tell.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think
Mm.
I'm not a Swiftie, but
Mm.
I like her lyrics. I listened to her for her lyrics, not for.
But I mean,
It must be exhausting always rooting for the anti-hero.
It is, man. It's a rough life.
Arguments. Somebody could make the argument if they're coming from a certain end as to why somebody's making that approach. So it's. Even you could say even some of my favorite singers. There were people that I really admired their music here, and while I could still recognize their songs, you still also have to think about. I think the other one was Rod Stewart. One of my favorite songs from him is the Young Turks, and but knowing what it's. I was getting a general idea as to what it was about. Now it holds. I think that me having that hunch and then seeing his role in this was it really struck a different meaning with me.
Yeah. So if you are a fan of this music, does reading this book alter that for you?
No, it doesn't alter it. It's like one of those, like the music's out there, and it's like you grew up with it. You did. I grew up with it. You're one of those people who actually grew up with it, who had older parents or grandparents, with your grandparents. But like, the music doesn't really change. It might change a little bit of the meaning, but it didn't get rid of anything, because
The feelings you have for that music.
because it's my personal feelings with the music.
Yeah.
The only exception of that changes my music, it has nothing to do with the book, but what's his name? He did the last song. I forget the artist, but I won't listen to his music anymore because he dated
Rihanna, Chris Brown.
No, older. He's older. Like
No.
Someone in this book, I think she's talking.
not in this book. I mean, like he's not part of this book, but the only person that changed the music. It has nothing to do with the book that we read, but it's not Peter. It's like what's his name? He dated Aaliyah.
Oh,
His song will come in my head.
R. Kelly?
Yeah, R. Kelly.
Okay.
Like he's caught. I don't
Yeah,
listen to
it's
I
him.
never liked R.
Yeah,
Kelly
that's valid.
anyway.
Oh, I liked his music. I had a weird feeling from it, but like I just dismissed it. But
I just remember
that
Trapped in
being
the Closet in South Park.
with that being said, like the music is so old and iconic that like it doesn't really change much.
Like, I mean, I never, like Bobby Brown, I'll never have any respect for him.
Mm.
Even though everybody's trying to have a forgiving disposition about
No.
him. But the way that he screwed up Whitney Houston in the head.
Yeah.
No, but
the,
she already had a drug issue.
I mean, it was
to begin
mutual.
with, and
He made it worse.
it did like them getting together made it like totally worse. And I think
And
inadvertently caused her death.
I think the phrase, like, separate the art from the artist can only go so far.
Uh-huh.
Like, I think in regards to people who, like, you don't agree with whatever they've done, like, in this book, you can still listen to their music because it's 50 years in the past. It is what it is. And a lot of nowadays, you're listening to it more for the nostalgic factor.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going out, dropping your life, and moving to Laurel Canyon and doing drugs, you know?
yeah, and it also depends on what they're looking to accomplish too.
Right.
Because I know there are a lot of songs that were reflective of what was going on during the time, even though, like, for what it's worth, was frequently misinterpreted. People thought it was about the anti-war movement, but it was actually an event that took place, a local event that took place.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a riot at a local nightclub that had to be shut down because of zoning.
Mm-hmm.
Who would have ever imagined that? I mean, you know, how many times you heard that song? You always think it's got something to do with Vietnam. And not even because somebody told you so. It's just because, oh yeah, the hippies, they were all about anti-war. You know, they were against the Vietnam War. That's what the whole movement was about. You find out, well, maybe not. Maybe it wasn't. Like, you find out how Zappa, he was very much in favor of what was going on with the Vietnam War and everything. You find that out.
But I think I think it was a control mechanism. I think that he was involved in some. And then you also talk about they go beyond that too. Some of them they devoted a whole chapter to Houdini.
That was interesting.
Yeah, that was
And
interesting.
That
how
was really
he was a police consultant
Yeah.
rather than so there was much more to him, and I think that it really is a testament about the connection of what we see through our media and what our establishment that's ruling the country and, or just ruling in general is doing.
Yeah. And the LAPD is a fine bunch of individuals over there.
And just some of the things that, like, someone does something immoral that they get, if they'll either get slap on the wrist, or if they have to do time, they get an early parole.
Yeah.
And it's
He even mentioned Jack Nicholson too.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson, Henry Fonda, and Dennis Hopper, the cast of Easy Rider, which used to be one of my favorite movies.
technically he didn't get. Jack Nicholson didn't exist until he was like 17 or 18 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild.
But Bruce Dern was the one that really stuck out to me because he was related to people that had government positions, and I remember Archibald McLeish because he was a playwright. He also had a position which practically was he was an American propagandist. So basically, I think he was more so. I think one of his areas was bringing light to the war efforts. But you could see that in the like a lot of the World War II media. It was very enthusiastic about what they needed to do. George M. Cohan's Yankee Doodle Dandy. That real and the big song that they had was and they played it at the Over There was
Right.
the name of the song, about encouraging people to head in and fight.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was. I mean, there were things that definitely needed to be brought down, but there was a lot of. I think that there was a lot of. I think it was one of the major moments of just like pro-war efforts and what you could arguably call propaganda.
Yes, indeed.
Alrighty then, do we have any final thoughts about this book?
This is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we didn't really talk about.
I'm glad I read it though.
Yeah. I'll just say, you know, the demonic aspect and the occult aspect of it is something that we didn't really touch on, but it's a big part of it. The idea of human sacrifice, child sacrifice, and whether or not that was a part of what was going on. And when you do that, you know, there's a very good chance that you will be infiltrated. Yeah.
I would say this is probably as good as it could be. I think that I think that he did great with what he had to work with, because he had said that he wasn't. He didn't even bother to interview people because he knew that it was nothing was gonna pan out of it, because they weren't gonna respond to it. But he did quite a fine job getting the resources together, and he has them listed in the back of the book.
Yeah.
And what else? And I think that I think probably my criticism would be the. I mean, he does insert himself a lot, and he digresses a lot.
He did.
Sometimes he digress. Sometimes it feels like he doesn't go back to the point that he was trying to make, which I can understand. I mean, sometimes that happens in general conversation. This is a book, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then there were. I mean,
That's the problem. The editor didn't catch that.
yeah, it was. It wasn't necessarily a big publisher, but I don't think it would. I don't think the big publisher would have the fortitude to publish something like this,
I'm just saying
because there's
that's
a lot
all
of
the
darlings that were affected as far as the members of Laurel Canyon were concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he mentions his daughter was the editor.
Yeah, she missed it.
It was Head Press is the
close.
publisher.
Huh?
Head Press is the publisher.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, there were some things he probably could have caught up on. There were some things like I know, like I had to look at the. I mean, there were like nitpicky details. Like I wanted to make sure that his the ages that he had for Lyndon Johnson's daughters was correct, and it was. He did misspell Herman Hesse's name when he first introduced that Steppenwolf was inspired.
Yeah,
by,
Steppenwolf.
No, that's weird.
the name of the group.
That's a weird book. Did you guys end up discussing that?
We
'Cause
did.
I know, yeah. Maybe we can revisit that sometime, because that is a strange one.
I put it on. I had considered it for my ballot, and I think it might have been on my ultimate ballot too, but
Yeah.
it just didn't get enough points. I
Okay.
mean, we'll probably do like either half and half or another revisiting season in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, but Herman Hesse definitely, as far as the occult is concerned, I mean, he's a major player in that realm, so it's not surprising to me that these people would look at him as a inspiration.
Mm-hmm. And there were some of them. There was one such writer that, or one of the. I don't think it was it Frank Zappa, or I think it was Brian Wilson that had the step. He had a lot of his reading included Herman Hesse novels. But I mean, to me, Demian is great. I think that's probably his finest. I think the American audience is touched most by Siddhartha. The European audience is more so, or the German audience. Yeah, the German audience is more Demian and Steppenwolf. Narcissus and Goldman, or Journey to the East would be here.
Yeah.
How would we rate this book? 0 to 5 stars, half stars permitted, Larry?
I'd give it 3.5 stars. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not sure he set out to prove his point. So that's why I would give it only 3.5. But there is a lot of really interesting information here, so I would say it's worth checking out, especially if you know these artists. If you do not know these artists, I think there would be some kind of a barrier to entry to get into this. I think if the more familiar you are, the more you will get out of it.
Between a 3 and a 4, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Something like that.
Okay.
I would say a 3 for me, just because I did have that barrier of entry that you mentioned, because I do lack a lot of knowledge in this, and I thought the writing was a little bit rambly at times. Like, it was hard to keep track of all of the players that he talked about, which made it a little bit more difficult for me to be, like, invested in the things he was trying to tell me.
I give it a 4, probably because of the opposite, where I was familiar with a lot of the names, or at least the bands, and I was fascinated to learn about what was going on, but I would say that the craft in which he, I think the digressions and how everything was, sometimes it was certain details and just things being thrown at you that made it challenging to keep up, and I mean, it probably is, and then as far as him getting the information is concerned, I think he did the best possible job that he could with what he had. So that's where I stand on that. And, it was unfortunate that he died shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
He wrote this. I think this came out in 2014. He died in 2015. If you are interested in reading Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, here is my copy, published by Head Press. This covers, and the way that it's structured, it starts by talking about it. It starts by really concentrating on the conspiracies and lays them out themselves, and then they also talk about the different bands and different performers, oftentimes concentrating on a particular band or performer in any given chapter. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. We have over 1,600 on our channel for you to watch and enjoy. And be sure to join us next time on another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.